You're entering The Zone, Wesley Ruff's Red Zone. Presented by America First Credit Union, where members come first.
You are looking at the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, site of the opening meet of the 2008 college gymnastics season, where two of the top programs in the entire country will be squaring off here tonight. Top-ranked and three-time defending national champion University of Georgia Gym Dogs taking on the third-ranked University of Utah Red Rocks. It should be a great meet. The fans are ready. The coaches are ready. The gymnasts are ready, and so are we. Utah Gymnastics is coming up next. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center on the campus of the University of Utah and the start of the 2008 gymnastics season. Top-ranked Georgia being hosted by third-ranked University of Utah Red Rocks. Hello, everyone. I'm Wesley Ruff, joined by former Olympian and Utah All-American Missy Marlowe. And Missy, this is like the NFL starting its season with the Super Bowl. You've got the two best programs in the history of college gymnastics going at each other in the opening meet of the year.
That's right. Now, these coaches don't particularly like each other. They certainly have a mutual respect for each other. Like you said, they're the two most successful coaches in NCAA history, so it's going to be a great meet tonight.
And these programs have won more national titles than the rest of the country put together.
Right.
We don't know what to expect on the first meet of the year. Some of the routines might be watered down a little bit. This is not the same gymnastics you would see in April at the championship, but it still promises to be a great meet.
Yeah, and it's not. Georgia's nursing some injuries tonight, although I tell you, these coaches hate to lose. So I think they're going to put it out there on the line, and the athletes hate to lose also. These are two very competitive teams. A lot of fire in them. They're going to be great tonight. It's going to be a fun meet to watch.
Let's talk about some of the athletes. Utah, of course, being led by its senior All-American, Ashley Postel. This is a girl who's vying for the Olympics like you did, would love to be in the Olympics, but she'd love to finish her career here at Utah with a championship.
Right. Well, the last 2 years she's finished second in the country, so I think she might have it out a little bit for Courtney Capets tonight, trying to beat her at home. That'll be a nice start for the meet tonight. And apparently, from what we've heard, she's in the best shape of her life. She had a great summer training and just kept it going all summer long, so she'll be wonderful tonight.
Yeah, Ashley finished second in the all-around to Courtney Capets 2 years in a row, and Courtney's here tonight. She's a junior. She's got 2 more years, and she is obviously one of the top gymnasts in the country.
Right. Well, and she's tied with me for the number of second number of titles. So seeing as she's a junior, I think I can kiss that one goodbye. But, you know, best to her. It'll be fun to watch. She's a wonderful athlete.
And Utah, of course, has a nice mix of veteran gymnasts and some newcomers who will be performing here tonight, so it should be fun to watch.
Right, and let's not forget about Christina Basquette, the uneven bars co-champion 2 years ago. She'll be great also.
We're just moments away from the start of the meet. Utah will begin on the vault, Georgia on the bars. Stick around, everyone. Utah Gymnastics will continue right after this. All right, welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. We are about ready for the start of the first rotation between Georgia and Utah. Wesley Ruff alongside Missy Marlowe. And Missy, this environment can be intimidating, especially for the freshmen who have never performed in front of this many people before.
Well, college gymnastics is a funny thing. Freshmen come in with all the experience in the world. I mean, even off the Olympic team, off of World Championships teams, and they still can't always make it into the lineup. College gymnastics has its own set of rules, its own requirements, and to be perfectly honest, a lot of the athletes have those rules mastered, and you know, they still have to fight their way in regardless of previous experience that they've had. So, you know, a lot of times this is a bigger crowd than they'll get at the World Championships, and in some cases even the Olympics. So it is intimidating. Plus, it's unusual coming from club. You know, you've got your own little small cheering section in the stands. You've got your family and a few people that care about you. And you walk into some place where 11,000 people are on your side, and yeah, it's very exciting. But boy, talking about looking up in the stands and kind of not knowing what to think for a couple of meets, it's really exciting, but it can take its toll on freshmen. It takes some getting used to.
All right, here we go, the start of the vault for Utah, and it's Darja Bijak from Germany, who's all around her last year, but she had some injury problems.
She is performing a new vault, a front handspring front layout. This crowd has never seen this vault before, and check it out. It is insane.
Have the judges seen a vault like this?
Rarely, honestly, rarely. And this is almost a scary vault to watch. Your hands are going to be so far in the front of the horse because she needs to get from the board to the horse so quickly. That was unbelievable. It is almost hard to put into words how difficult that vault is. The explosion that she has to create off the board with her heel drive is just almost impossible.
Is it
front handspring, front layout, as well as I have ever seen that perform.
Wow, just a little bobble there at
Most
the end.
gymnasts will at least bend their knees a little bit in the air to make it around. And not only that, but like you said, she doesn't just under-rotate it, she over-rotates it. Almost makes it look too easy.
All right, Nikki Childs on the bar.
There's a full and a half pirouette to an in-bar ganger, named after the first German gymnast ever to perform it on the men's high bar. A pack salto. You'll notice that a lot of these names sound unusual. They're named after the first gymnast to perform them in international competition.
And we had a gymnast from the University of Utah several years ago who had a move named after Melissa Vitor.
Right. And a great start for Georgia also. Not one of the more difficult dismounts we've seen, but a pretty flawless routine, really.
Nina Kim up on the ball for Utah, and she's one of the fan favorites here.
Nina's a phenomenal gymnast. She's doing a Yurchenko full twist, so a round off onto the board, back handspring, laid out full. Beautiful stuff. Let me tell you, it's almost hard to talk. I hope I'm not yelling too loud, but the noise in here is deafening. This crowd wants Utah to win. Georgia has won the last 8 straight. So they know what's at stake here, and they're going to do everything they can to sway the judges for every quarter attempt they can get.
Well, you see it, Bijak with a 9-8 to start, and sometimes fans don't understand that maybe the start value is not a 10. There's no way if they perform it perfectly, if the start value is a 9-9, they're not going to score a 10 because the best they could do is a 9-9.
Right, well, and that is possible, although at this level, every vault we see will be a 10. But yeah, easier vaults start below a 10.0.
Cassie McComb up next for Georgia. And again, some of the routines might be watered down just a little bit because you want to start out and get some confidence and then build the degree of difficulty as you go throughout the season, correct?
Absolutely. They'll be adding more difficulty as they go, although every routine will still start at a 10.0. That's a Tkachev. Right back up. Notice that, of course, the gymnasts have to have perfect form, feet together, toes pointed, arms straight. Every handstand must be within 10 degrees of being directly vertical on top of the bar. The giant swing. To a half in, half out, or full twisting, double back, and just a step on the landing.
What's the deduction for a step on the landing?
1/10.
1/10? Kenna Robart's a freshman, and here we go, talking about a freshman performing for the first time in front of a huge crowd.
And she is doing a half twist onto the horse, front pike off. Form easily. You'll notice too, there's a number of things the judges look for. Obviously, speed, explosion off the horse, height, and distance. And so we'll see here on the replay, she's at the very back end of the sting mat, showing just how far she's traveling away from the horse.
Small overstep there.
Excellent start for a freshman. How exciting is that? Good for her.
Tiffany Tolnay for the Gym Dogs.
Tiffany's an 8-time All-American with a high score of 9.9 on the bars. Waiting for the judges to get their scores in from the former routine. Here we go. Vault over low bar. Line change or a half pirouette. Front Jaeger. It's really hard to notice, but different release moves will have different hand positions on the bar. Unless you know to look for them, it's easy to miss, but some are worth more than others in terms of difficulty.
The judges pay attention to that score accordingly.
Absolutely. Half pirouette. Tuck double front, just a small hop on the landing.
All right, that was Tiffany Tolnay. We're going to take a brief timeout. We'll continue with the first rotation right after this. All right, welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. We're halfway through the first rotation. This is Annie DeLuzio for Utah on the vault.
Forming a full twist. Annie is capable of doing a double twist on that vault. You can see she over-rotated with a pretty big step back. So hopefully she'll be upgrading that during the year, just because I've seen her do gorgeous double twists.
Part of the problem with the over-rotation, could it be that they're just a little more amped up? You've got Georgia, you've got the #1 team. It's the first meet of the year.
I mean, you know how it is. It's the same in any sport. You come out, I don't care how seasoned you are, it takes a competition or a game or two to remember what the adrenaline feels like, what your legs feel like underneath you when you have that much, I won't say stress, but excitement maybe.
Grace Taylor's next up to perform for Georgia on the bars.
Grace is a 2-time All-American and has a high score of a 9.925 on the bars. requirement that the gymnast move between the bars twice. So here's a high bar to low bar transition. They must have at least 2 release moves.
Now the bars have changed since you were competing in college. They were a lot closer together.
They're wider, and they're actually a little bit smaller around. You can see she really doesn't have to pike to miss low bar, although the body positioning and the tapping is very important. That's really technical. But you see the gymnast kind of hollow arch and then kick over the top.
Now Christina Basquette, obviously one of the fan favorites here at the University of Utah.
She'll be opening also with the Yurchenko full, round up back handspring full twist. The judges want to see a completely extended position in the air. Again, a large hop back. That vault is so easy for her. There really is no deductions, but the Utes have taken a step on practically every vault. So by the time you take that on 5 counting scores, that's 5/10. They'll be working on that all season long.
And how do you overcome that?
Just practice.
Because as a fan, you look at that and you think, well, it looked perfect, but just that little hop.
Remember that they'll drop the lowest score, count the top 5 out of 6.
Katie Heenan, next to compete for Georgia on the bars.
6-year national team member. There's a toe on, toe off, half pirouette. Jaeger. Back to handstand. Shoot half. Toe on, toe off.
That was the second of the 2 release moves.
To high bar. Good, you're learning. You got it, you don't need me. And a double front, a little bit slow on that rotation. She had to hang on to it a little bit longer just to make sure she made it around. Good routine. You know, Georgia's completely unfazed. Of course, they're used to crowds like this, so this is nothing for that caliber of a team. And they look perfectly at ease up there on the bars.
All right, here's the senior, Ashley Postel. Was talking about trying to qualify for the Olympics, but she kind of put that on the back burner right now. She wants to concentrate on winning a national championship, helping Utah win a title this year.
This is the most difficult vault we'll see. Half on, pike half on. Unbelievable. That is an Olympic quality vault right there. You know, it's just crazy how easy she makes that look. Gymnasts can train their entire career and never even come close to being able to compete it. And she just drops out of the sky like it's nothing.
And that smile tells you, I think she was happy with the way she performed that vault.
Gorgeous vault.
And here's Courtney Kupets, the gymnast that Ashley finished second to in the all-around the last 2 years at National.
Well, she's the 2004 bronze medalist. And check out this routine. She never stops. 1, 2, absolutely perfect positions.
Just a junior, so she's got another year.
Hop full to Kachev. Every position is absolutely textbook. Line half. Another Veronin. And she is going to knock this one out of the park. And that little tiny hop at the end kept her, is going to keep her from the 10.0. That was a flawless routine, Wes. There isn't anything else to say about it.
And that will do it for the first rotation. Utah and Georgia will be switching apparatus. We'll take a quick break and be back with more of the 2008 season opening college gymnastics meet right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. It's Utah versus Georgia in college gymnastics. The first rotation is in the books, and Missy Marlowe, kind of a surprise as you look at the scores for Utah. Maybe a little low, 49.1 team score.
Well, Les, I have no problem with the 4 middle scores. I think it was okay. On those Yurchenko vaults, the athletes have to stay completely, totally stretched. And the 4 middle vaulters really did pull in a little bit, pike down a little, and that's why they're stepping back. But I have to say, I think Daria Bijak and Ashley Postel, their scores are too low. Those vaults are unbelievably difficult, and they were underscored on those vaults. They should be higher.
As you look at Georgia's score on the bars, 49.325, highlighted by Courtney Kupets with a 9.950, and you called it. That little hop at the end kept her from getting a 10.
There were no deductions in that routine. It was as good as it could be done, except for the small slide at the end.
So Utah and Georgia will be switching apparatus. Utah will move to the bars and Georgia on the vault. Lauren Sessler, a sophomore out of Snellville, Georgia, starting things off for the Gym Dogs.
This is is a Yurchenko full, so we'll have a good opportunity to compare it to the same vaults that we saw some of the Utes do. There's the round off back handspring, full twist. Oh, and now see, that's exactly what we were just talking about, a big break. I'm sure Georgia has 5 excellent vaults waiting in the rings, but that is just not how you want to start out.
That puts pressure on everybody else knowing that they have to hit now.
Count, that's right.
Katie Cavisto leading off on the bars for the Utes.
There's a handstand half pirouette. Blind change. Jaeger, just a little tiny bit of arm bend on the catch there. Blind full or full pirouette to immediate shoot half. Again, a little bit of an arched handstand on low bar, but she did hold on to it. Just be a small deduction for form. Giant swing, and double out, a little bit of a pike down in the air. Not the greatest form on that.
You can tell
Katie
she was a little disappointed.
recovering from elbow surgery.
She was disappointed. You can tell by her reaction.
Just a little shaky on some of the positions. Here's the dismount sequence. Giant. Now she should be stretched all the way through the air. She pulls her feet in a little early. Almost goes to her knees, which would be a fall, but she does do a good job of getting her feet underneath her enough to step.
Marcia Newby up next on the vault for Georgia. Marcia, sophomore from Virginia Beach.
There's a Yurchenko half to a front layout. Again, another big. Now, it's important, there are 2 different vaults. If the gymnast completes most of the flip backwards and turns just as she's landing, it's considered a back somersault with a half twist, which is not worth as much as turning immediately off the horse and finishing most of the somersault going forward.
Next up on the bars from the University of Utah, Jamie Dietzkrieg.
Jamie, our first look ever at Jamie Dietzkrieg.
Here's a toe on, toe off. Good. She missed that in warm-ups. Competed easily here to immediate shoot half. Beautiful handstand positions. Back up to high bar. Line full. Oh, and she just did not have enough swing to make it over the bar. Her arms collapsed underneath her. She started the turn a little bit too early. And an interesting beginning for both teams here in the second rotation. Giant, a little bit of a knee bend at the bottom, and a double layout dismount landed well.
Cassidy McComb.
A Yurchenko full. She's capable of doing a full and a half. They weren't sure which one. Again, they're not looking really any more sharp on their landings than Utah did. They're taking them a little bit for granted, not really fighting for the landing positions, but still a great vault. She just had a super block off the horse and was plenty high enough to stay stretched and work on the stick.
How long do you have to hold the finish?
Just enough to show control.
Jessica Duke up next for Utah on the bars.
Vault over low bar.
Jessica, one of the most popular gymnasts on this team.
Well, everybody likes to see athletes that come from your hometown. Beautiful ganger, right up to a beautiful handstand on low bar. Shoot half. Setting up for dismount sequence. 2 giant swings to a half in, half out. And again, just the hop.
Nice way to get your senior season started right there.
Well, all schools love their seniors, and especially the ones that are from your hometown.
Jessica Duke has just completed her bar routine. We're going to take a brief time out. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. We are halfway through the second rotation. Georgia on the vault. Tiffany Tolnay about to perform. Missy Marlowe, what do you know about Tiffany?
Tiffany is doing a Yurchenko full. Again, a pretty common vault. Round off back handspring, full twist. Yeah, another large step. She piked down just a little bit in the air. The judges really, they see a lot of these vaults. So, as you know, I need to be pretty picky to differentiate one between the other. They want to see the athletes completely, totally extended in the air and really holding that position as long as they can before they have to scoop their toes in to make the landing. The Utes are in a little bit of a precarious position here right now.
Need some strong performances trailing Georgia after the first rotation.
Doria has a career high of 9.925 on the bars. It's a hop full. We haven't seen that yet tonight. So a beautiful pikes ganger. Shoot half. Back up to high bar. Eagle grip. Double front. Really a beautiful dismount. And that's what I was talking about. The different hand grips. It's really hard to see, hard to know if you're not very familiar with gymnastics. But that inverted eagle is an extremely difficult position. A lot of people couldn't even get their arms back in that position. Look here, if you can see, she rotates to an eagle and to a double front. She needs to clean up her form a little bit. She's pretty cowboyed in the air, but easily lands it.
That's one of the more unusual dismounts that we've seen off the bars tonight.
It's extremely difficult to land. You have no way of spotting the ground. Here's a half on pikes, similar to Ashley Postel, just a little bit easier. She won't be twisting off the same way. And absolutely nailed it. That's why she's an Olympian.
The two-time defending all-around champion at the NCAA championships, and she just nailed that landing.
Right, well, absolutely no question. I mean, she just landed and pulled straight up, and that was about as well as it can be done. Now, that is, as difficult of a vault as that is, it is quite a bit easier than what we saw Ashley Postel do. It takes a lot more to add that second half twist, although she certainly looks capable of doing it. So we'll see how that scores compared to Ashley's vault.
Christina Basquette, one of the top bars performers for Utah.
Coach NCAA champion as a freshman. She has a flawless routine here also. There's a vault over low bar, and check out this combination. Giant full, giant half, to Kachev, to immediate hack salto. You know, and the crazy thing about that is if she is at all off, there's just no way to cover. Toe shoot to high bar. She caught a little bit close, although she didn't bend her arm, so that really won't be a deduction. And a double layout.
And you can tell by the crowd reaction that they like that here at the Huntsman Center.
That bar routine, I think the crowd needed that bar routine too.
Just perfect form, Missy, the whole way through.
Double layout, completely stretched all the way through. And really, that slide was so small, there won't be a deduction on that.
Courtney McCool wrapping things up for Georgia on the vault. Courtney, a sophomore.
Another Yurchenko full. And another good landing, just slightly off balance when saluting, but once the arms go up, the vault's over. So we'll see what the judges do with that.
My mistake, that was Katie Heenan performing for Georgia.
Again, Katie's a 9-time All-American, 2007 SEC Gymnast of the Year.
Now, if Ashley can build off what Christina did on the last routine, then this place will just go nuts.
And she knows they need it.
And she came into this season in great shape.
So toe on toe off, half pirouette, ganger. Perfect handstand positions, half salto. Completely in control on the low bar, as well as it can be done. Stalder shoot to high bar. The gymnasts get bonus by doing individual difficulty, as well as combining the pirouetting skills with the releases.
Talk about the dismount, just a little hop, leaning forward.
That probably is about a half a tenth on that one. Her feet did leave the mat just the tiniest bit.
She tried to recover quickly,
Here we
but...
see it. Double front, and again, just a hop there.
All right, the second rotation is in the books. We'll come back and wrap up and give you the score at the halfway point of this meet when we come back. All right, Utah moves over to the beam. Georgia will be on the floor. And Missy, the beam, one of the toughest events. I know it's not one of your favorites.
No, I hated beam, and I still do. It's my favorite event to coach. And in some ways, it's so mental. In some ways, it's the easiest because you're not doing anything on the balance beam that you haven't been able to do as a gymnast since you were probably 8 years old. Back handsprings, back somersaults, simple moves, and yet it's just so incredibly mental.
To do it on a 4-inch wide beam.
4 inches wide, 16 feet long, 4 feet off the ground. There's a required tumbling series, back handspring, lay out, step out.
And there's a time limit on the beam as well, right?
Right, a minute 30. If you hear a bell or a whistle, that's a minute 20. Telling gymnasts they have 10 seconds to get off the beam. Side aerial. It's also required to do a front or a side skill. And again, the gymnasts will start at a 9.5 if they hit all of their basic requirements. Then they must gain the extra 5/10 on their start value through difficulty, either individual moves that are worth D's or E's, or combining elements.
D's or E's, what the judges determine scoring
Just difficulty, The textbook for gymnastics reads like a law book. It's about 3 inches thick and takes a long time to figure out.
They
And it
change it
changes
every
quite
3
often.
4 years.
Yep.
They're setting up for her dismount.
Dismount. Round off. Double twist, and really a great start. Not just for the team, but for the freshmen also. Good for Kendall. This is going to go a long ways towards her keeping that spot in the lineup.
And the reaction by the team, you can see that they were just stoked that she hit that routine. Even though her feet were apart there, she held it.
Yeah, a little bit of a forebreak on the twist. And you know what that reaction says is not only are they happy, but the way the team came around her, they obviously just like her as a person. You know, you can sit back and clap and be happy, but to come running up and embrace someone really says that, you know, she gets along and must be a great teammate.
Lily Morrow on the floor now for Georgia. All 4 feet 7 inches of her.
And opening tumbling run, almost always the hardest. And just a pike double back, so really not the most difficult pass you can see, although she landed it well. And obviously the music is going to fit the gymnast personality, and this is pretty explosive music. Middle tumbling run.
There's 3 tumbling passes required on the floor.
Well, only 2 required. Most gymnasts do 3. It is required to have at least 1 pass that has more than 1 salto. Again, expression is important. This is really the only event where a gymnast can actually show some personality and kind of try to draw the crowd into it. I wouldn't say less concentrated because tumbling is so difficult, but a little bit easier to relax on the dance, and certainly the event that brings the crowd into it the most. Keeping in mind, however, that they have to save enough energy to tumble. Final tumbling run. Front handspring, Rudy. And again, front tumbling does not look difficult, but it actually is pretty split-second timing. A lot of front tumbling is worth as much as the harder double flipping back somersaulting passes.
Pretty solid routine there by Hillary to get Georgia started on the floor. We'll move back to the beam now. And Annie DeLuzio for Utah.
Annie has a high score on beam of 9.775. Full turn she just performed as a required element. Setting up her opening tumbling run, or opening tumbling on beam. They're allowed to take about a 1-second pause. Easily landed back handspring layout, step out. And here's front tuck. Beautiful landing, absolutely straight up and down. Solid. The gymnasts are trying to keep their hips completely squared over the beam. Scissor side. With a D, that's a 1/10 bonus move for the difficulty of that lead. Side aerial. It's really easy on beam to start holding your breath. You're so tight, every muscle is squeezing and trying so hard. Just a small balance check there on the style jump. And it's actually pretty easy to start getting shaky if you don't stop and remind yourself to take a few of those deep breaths that you can see them do.
Which sometimes is easier said than done, correct?
Yeah, it is. That's one of the things we have to remind young gymnasts of the most. Round off, beautiful double twist on that one. Perfect form, just a small hop back on the landing. Another really solid beam routine for Utah.
This is her final tumbling pass.
Round off, double twist. About a 1/2 on the dismount. Great routine.
Heavy stack now on the floor. Normally an all-arounder, but she's had some injuries to deal with and only performing just on the floor tonight for Georgia.
Has a high of 9.9 a couple of years ago against UCLA. twisting double back. Landed just a little bit low. Extremely difficult first pass. The required leap combination. Again, if the leaps are difficult enough, they'll get bonus on that as well as the tumbling.
And should a gymnast step out?
Bit 110 for going over the line. Pike double back. Yet her chest is just a little bit low on the landings. Required turn, double turn to wolf jump full and a half. And this is an unusual routine.
A little robot going there. Setting up for the last tumbling pass.
Final tumbling run, round back handspring, double twist, punch front. There's her double salto.
Happy stand. Next up on the beam for Utah, Christina Basquet.
Steady concentration there as Christina gets ready for her beam routine.
Has a high of 9.9 last year against UCLA. And Christina is an absolutely beautiful gymnast to watch. She's elegant. She's just in amazing shape. And she's just a really pretty gymnast. Her form is so beautiful. She's really fluid. She's not as outright powerful as some, but just really gorgeous. Very similar in style, I think, to Teresa Kulikowski.
I was just going to say she reminds me a little
Well,
bit of
same
Teresa.
line,
Yeah,
same grace
lines.
with her arms and legs. Of course, we all know how great Teresa was. Punch front. Good. You know, Utah's really doing a good job. It's never easy to compete beam, and especially not the first time of the season. Here's your lead pass, switch leap. A little bit under split on that. Straddle jump, straddle jump.
This is Associate Head Coach Megan Marsden's domain, in the beam, correct?
Right, and Megan is a beam wizard. Absolutely phenomenal beam coach. Just, I mean, wonderful person. I can't say enough good things about Coach Megan. Here's Christina's dismount, round off, double twist, and again, the hops are just killing them, but beautiful routines.
Little Michael Jordan with her tongue hanging out there at the end as she landed
Well,
that.
her personality is just as cute as it looks like it is on TV. She's bubbly and positive all the time. And, I mean, I truly have never heard her say a negative word about anybody.
Next
She's
up
just
on
a
the floor for
great,
Georgia,
great person.
Cassidy McComb.
We need to point out that the Utes are doing very well in the classroom this year as well. Scholastically, Utah, I think they have over as a team over 3.5 GPA right now in the semester.
Well, and, you know, it's easy to forget we're talking sports, but that is why they're here. Round up back handspring, pike double back, and again, it landed a little bit low. This is not quite the tumbling that we're used to seeing from a powerhouse. A spot that Georgia will certainly be upgrading throughout the season to some of the more tumbling passes, more like double layouts and the full twisting double backs.
Coach Suzanne Yokelin said that probably only 14 of the 24 routines that you will see at the end of the year are being performed here tonight.
Right.
That she doesn't think she's catching Utah at the perfect time because so many of her gymnasts are injured or out right now. And yet, they still lead the meet.
yet they
That's how
still
good
lead
they
the
are and how
meet,
deep
right.
they are.
They're really strong in their execution and their dance. Their leaps are split and tall and high. Sharp. Round up back handspring, 2.5 twists, and again, just easily landed. I mean, not as dynamic a tumbling as they'll see, but at the same time, they're really not giving the judges a lot of deductions.
Speaking of judging, Christina Basquet with a 9.775 on the beam. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll finish the third rotation right after this. All right, welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. We're in the third rotation of the meet between Utah and Georgia. This is Nina Kim on the beam for Utah.
And Nina is absolutely one of my favorites. She has struggled a little bit, just feeling a little bit burnout, and really wasn't sure if she wanted to keep going, which is something I can certainly relate to. And she has pushed through it and just continues to be a mainstay for this team. And I just like her style. I think she's really pretty to watch. I mean, not only is she good, but she's just elegant, and she really, some gymnasts are just powerful, but they're not all that pretty. And a lot of gymnastics fans complain that the artistic side of gymnastics has been taken out of the sport because of the difficulty that's required. And I think Christina and Nina do a really good job of showing what is balletic and what is pretty about gymnastics.
Bringing that back to the sport. Nina setting up for her finish here.
From the same gym as Olympic champion Carly Patterson, coached by her coach Yevgeny Marchenko, who made a surprise visit here, had 13 gymnasts in last year's championships here in Utah, if you can believe that. And another flawless routine. Utah wants to win this meet, and they're putting up the beam routines to do it. Round off double, or full and a half twist, clean landing on that one.
So many times meets are won or lost on those 4-inch wide.
Next up on the floor.
Doesn't seem right, does it?
No, it does not.
You get used to it.
We move over to the floor, which is considerably wider than the beam.
A little bouncier, different color.
Tiffany Tolnay for Georgia.
A little easier for men to watch, maybe, I don't know. Opening tumbling run. Double front, beautiful. That is such an incredibly difficult pass, and she made it look so easy. There's no way to spot the floor. It's all feel and timing. Front full, front tuck, a 10th bonus for the combination on that pass. One of the taller gymnasts.
It's interesting, I heard Coach Marsden talk last year about how some gymnasts just don't have a feel for where they are when they're in the air. During tumbling passes, vaults, floor, whatever, they just don't, they visualize it, they can't feel where they are. Really.
Oh yeah, all gymnasts are different. Some are very, very visual, and some it doesn't matter if you put a blindfold on, it's all feeling. And it's important to know because it changes how you coach that gymnast and the corrections that you give them.
Change in music right there.
You'll notice the gymnasts almost always slow down a little bit before the third pass. A minute and a half does not seem very long, but if you try to go out and sprint for a minute and a half, it is absolutely exhausting. Most people probably couldn't do it. And imagine tumbling knowing that your head is on the line, if you land on your feet or not. Really takes it out of you at the end of a floor routine. Another solid routine for Georgia. Both teams are strong on this third event here.
Got some good scores. Utah is going to have to make sure that they not only stay on the beam, but get some good scores if they hope to catch Georgia. Daria Bijak. Next up for Utah on the beam.
Daria's a two-time German national all-around champion. Her high score on beam is a 9.9 last year against Florida.
Utah's had a nice little German pipeline, as it were, throughout the years. Britt Hoffman just recently from Germany.
Solid backhand spring layout step out. Switch half. Slightly underturned on the half turn. Split jump tuck pull. There's the required jump combination. Again, just slightly underturned on the tuck pull. You can see her ankles are heavily taped. Solid punch front. That was as well as it can be done. It's required that the gymnast goes down on the beam at one point in the routine. And again, the routines cannot be longer than a minute and a half. There is no minimum time anymore. It used to be a minute 10.
But nobody wants to rush through this.
Switch leap, straddle jump. Beautiful. Setting up for a dismount. Punch front full. And a big step on the landing. That will cost her, especially because it wasn't one of the more difficult dismounts. An otherwise solid routine.
Utah may be starting to feel some pressure. Tiffany Tolnay with a 9.875 on the floor.
Next up on
And now the all-around champion for the past 2 years in the NCAA championship, Courtney Kupets. They call her Mini Coop, is her nickname.
Warmed up an Arabian double front, missed it in warm-ups, and their foot slid out. I don't believe she went over the line. It's okay to touch the line, just not to go over it. And again, she really didn't break her form on the lunge out of that, other than the slight slide. That will not be much of a deduction. Round off, whip half, immediate front double full, and that time the flag went out. She stepped over the line. That'll be 110.
Obviously an athlete that doesn't make those kind of mistakes normally.
No,
very solid.
Unusual for Courtney. Especially when this could come down to a matter of a few tenths. Utah's going to floor, generally considered an easier event to compete than beam, especially when you're the home team and you're a visiting team finishing on the beam. Final tumbling run. Round up back handspring, pike double back, awesome form. She almost stuck that cold. And they just make that look so easy. It's just exhausting at the end.
Utah with Ashley Postel. She's in the cleanup spot in all 4 events tonight for Utah.
And Ashley has twice scored a 10 on beam.
Beam champion last year in the NCAA
one-time
championship.
world champion.
Right.
How would that be to say I'm the best in the world at something? Pretty cool, huh?
I wouldn't know.
Well, I wouldn't either, unfortunately, but I can only imagine that it got a bet with a smile on your face, huh? She's a very aggressive competitor, absolutely unafraid. And one thing I love about Ashley's beam is she moves with a quickness that is a little bit unusual. She's fast and aggressive. There's a full twisting swing down, and it gives a confidence like, hey, this is so easy for me. Give me a challenge. And yet she's doing some of the most difficult moves you'll see being competed. Tumbling series, back handspring, layout, step out, and 1/10, maybe half a tenth balance check right there. Here's one of her signature moves, a 3/4 twisting back handspring to handstand. Unbelievable. And, you know, I've always wondered, what is it like to throw that for the first time without your spotter or without any mats? To be standing there saying, okay, this is it, I'm ready to try this. She needs to stick this dismount to make up for the balance check on her tumbling. 2.5 twists, and there it is.
She did. Ashley Postel.
Fabulous routine, and you know, Utah really knocked it out of the park with those beam routines. Now, they knew they had some ground to make up, and so far they have done a great job on balance beam. There's her double twist, no deductions on that. Stuck cold, feet together on the twist, no form breaks.
Next up.
Courtney McComb wrapping things up here for Georgia on the floor.
Round off back handspring, the front layout. Required tumbling skill. Switch leap to tertiate full. Before the middle tumbling pass. Whip to immediate double twist, landed well. Look at the size of her calves, Wes. What a powerhouse.
The rest of the team.
Could probably give some basketball players a straight run for their money on vertical jump there.
Wow, look at those legs.
No wonder she can tumble so well.
Did you get bonus points for that?
Well, yeah, because your tumbling goes 19 feet in the air, so indirectly you do. Front handspring, front Rudy, just slightly under-rotated on the last pass.
Not many mistakes in that routine. All right, we'll be back right after this. Stick around, everyone. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. We are through 3 rotations here, and Missy Marlowe, Utah, with a pretty solid 49.075 on the beam, but they fell further behind Georgia in the team score.
Right. We now have a 2.5-tenth meet here. Although most people would generally say that Utah's in a better position being on floor than Georgia is on beam. But, you know, anything can happen. It remains to be seen. And Georgia, of course, I mean, they have nothing to lose, you know, by being here. They're really in a more comfortable position, being on the road and in the lead.
And it comes down to the lineup of Katie Cavisto, Beth Rizzo, Stephanie Neff, Annie DeLuzio, Christina Basquette, and Ashley Postel to make up the difference. That 2.5-point difference, .250 difference in the total scores. Utah needs some help here.
Well, they do, and we're just waiting for the judges to signal that they're ready.
Hillary Morrow starting things off on the beam for the University of Georgia Gym Dogs, the 3-time defending national champions. Their motto this year, back 4 more, trying to get their 4th consecutive title.
Solid back handspring layout. Idolized John Roethlisberger, a good friend of many of ours, 4-time Olympian growing up. Front aerial to back handspring swing down, incredibly difficult combination tumbling pass. Says on her bio sheet, her favorite sport other than gymnastics is baseball.
Oh, I thought you'd say basketball. All 4'7" of her.
Punch front. Small balance check. She did a good job hanging on. It would have been really easy to come off the beam on that. Instead, it was only maybe a 10th wobble.
And if you do come off the beam,
5/10. Well, and this is where experience counts. You know, you coach young kids, and they're off just a little bit, and it's almost impossible to get them to fight to stay on. It really takes years and years of practice to be comfortable.
and you want to
give up when you're off.
Stay on the beam at all costs.
That's right. Grip those toes on and setting up for dismount. Round off. Double pike, a difficult last dismount. One step on the landing. Out of San Marcos, Texas.
Looks like a last-minute change for Utah. They had Katie Cavisto in the leadoff spot.
Well, Katie was a little weak on bars. It could be that her elbow was bothering her. Perhaps warm-ups weren't as good as they would have liked to have seen. An Arabian double front and landed extremely well. It is not a deduction to use that mat as long as the gymnast doesn't go out of bounds.
Tough position for a freshman to be in. Be thrown in the lineup at the last second.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's hard enough to compete alone as a freshman, much less be a last-minute substitution. But trust me, she wants to prove that she is no substitute. Front layout, front layout. A little bit of a form break in the air on the layouts, not bad.
And again, Greg has stressed all season long that every gymnast needs to be ready to go at all times.
At all times. Well, and obviously, if he doesn't think you're capable, you just won't be recruited in the first place. I mean, this is a program, these top teams, you know, recruiting is fierce, and yet at the same time, you kind of get your pick. You know, at the best in the country, sometimes the best in the world. Last tumbling run, 2.5 twist.
Stayed in bounds.
Stayed in bounds. A little bit off.
Nikki Childs now on the beam for Georgia.
4-time All-American, senior out of Plano, Texas.
How much strength, how much upper body strength does that take to do what she just did? That was just...
Well, all of gymnastics just takes an incredible amount of upper body strength. She's from the same club with the same coaches as Nina Kim, World Olympic Gymnastics, with Yevgeny Marchenko. Front aerial. Really difficult. That move takes a lot of flexibility, and it's really hard to come up without turning the hips and wobbling on the landing.
as a competitor on the beam, do you hear the music? Do you hear the crowd? Or are you just so focused?
Yeah, well, it's in the background, but you do hear it a little bit.
Little moonwalk, little Michael
Yeah, she
Jackson.
actually did that pretty well.
Crowd like that, appreciate. We talked about the Utah crowd appreciating good gymnasts, whether it's from Utah or Georgia.
Back handspring, swing through full, small hop on the landing. Solid routine. Just a few small balance checks throughout.
Rizzo.
All right, Beth Rizzo now on the floor for Utah. And Utah, the music that Utah uses has always been one of the best. They kind of pioneered the use of music. And
well, one of my former gymnasts used this about 4 years ago, and I had never heard it again until now. And I always thought it was a little strange. Although, I have to tell you, I kind of like it. 2.5 twist, a beautiful front layout. Beth is the second Ute walk-on ever to win NCAA All-American honors. And she is just nothing short of a complete success story for Utah.
obviously the gymnasts are required to use as much of the mat, as much of the floor as possible.
She did not pull into a very tight tuck. She made that by the skin of her teeth, but she managed to pull it up and actually had a pretty high landing. She hung herself up a little bit. Her shoulders went back. She had a hard time pulling her knees in and managed to hang on to it. Great routine for Beth. 5'1" junior from Grapevine, Texas, an 8-time All-American. Has a high of 9.95 last year against Alabama on beam.
Georgia obviously chasing Utah's record for team titles, but Georgia has had more All-Americans than any other school.
Flawless back handspring layout step out. Yeah, and the tumbling series is required, at least 2 tumbling skills in a row. Punch front, and that is going to be a big break for Utah. Now again, it will not, they can drop the lowest score, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but another routine or so from Georgia that scores in the, maybe only in the mid-9s or not as high in the 9s will open up the door.
Putting pressure on the rest of the team now. That could be the break that Utah needs.
She's a very pretty gymnast to watch also. She's in really great shape. She's got thin, long lines, and physically, she's just very pretty. Switch leap, straddle jump, to back tuck, bonus for combining the 3 skills. Dismount, oh, excuse me, switch leap, swing through, full twist off the side, 1 step.
See how that affects the rest of the team.
As you can see, Utah at this point is counting a 9-6, however, so they haven't exactly knocked the scores out of the park either on floor, although they're early in the rotation.
Stephanie Neff up. She's a sophomore from Mesa, Arizona.
Punch double front, and that is so amazing. Running punch double front, unbelievable. And she makes it look so easy. Stephanie has a high of 9.8, 2 times last year. Front layout, front height.
I think it's safe to say that they'll need more than her career high here if they're going to have any chance of catching Georgia in this meet.
It's going to be close, even if Utah finishes as well as it can. I like Utah's dance this year. I think it's creative, but it's still fun. I like how it moves. It's not just a bunch of hitting positions. There's actually a lot of movement, and like you said, they're covering the floor well with the dance, which is a little prettier and more exciting to watch.
Beth Rizzo shouting encouragement there behind her.
Front half to front full. And did you notice there was not one back handspring in that routine? I'm going to have to check and find out why. An excellent tumbling, good combination tumbling. Here's our final pass.
And gymnasts can make alterations on the fly and change their
Middle
routine.
pass, excuse me. Front layout, pike front. I think Utah can feel some momentum here.
Okay, we're down to our final 6 competitors. 3 for Utah, 3 for Georgia. We'll find out how they do when we come back. Back, everyone. Our final 6 competitors now. Katie Heenan on the beam for Georgia. Georgia with a lead. Utah might be cutting into that with a strong performance on the floor so far.
Katie has a high of 9.95 on the beam. She scored it twice. Straddle jump, little bit of a pause between that.
Georgia, of course, coming off a fall from Tiffany Tolnay on their last routine. So any other fall here now would be counted by Georgia.
Punch front. Oh, slightly back on that. Tiny balance check on the full turn. Round off, double twist, and a perfect landing on the dismount.
Annie DeLuzio next up on the floor for Utah. And again, if you're doing the math at home, I think you can see that Utah has possibly cut into the lead a little bit, but they need help here in the last 3 competitors on the floor.
Sophomore out of Folsom, California. Beautiful triple twist, and she made that look about as easy as it could be done. Scissor side, straddle full. There's bonus for the difficulty of that combination on the leaps. Showing some beautiful flexibility in her dance. This is fun music. I like this piece. Full and a half twist, front layout, and yeah, Utah can feel some momentum here, I think. I wouldn't say they're relaxed at all, but I think they can feel that this win could be into grasp.
If all goes well, the scores just continue to build and the numbers get higher as you go and you build to your cleanup
That's the idea.
gymnast. Crowd starting to get into it here, Missy.
Final tumbling run. Round up back handspring. 2.5 and beautifully landed. Oh, what a routine for Annie. I love that music. It's powerful, it has a good beat, and yet it's not too overpowering.
And you can tell that the crowd reacts to the music and starts getting into it. Nice amplitude here on the final tumbling pass.
Look at that, 2.5 twist.
Next on beam for Georgia, Courtney
Straight up.
Coupette.
Courtney Kupets, who stands second in the all-around right now, Missy, trailing Ashley Postel.
And I know Ashley would love to open up the season by beating her just on a personal note.
Oh, hello.
And this is
Hello.
huge. 2-time defending national champion. That handspring layout.
And I was watching Utah's team over on the floor, and they saw that, and they're all looking at each other like...
the thing is, it cannot matter, and they know that. Christina's up next on floor for Utah, and she's not paying attention. And some of the kids, you can't see it on TV, but they've come around to make sure that she's only thinking about herself and paying no attention to the other competitors. Gymnastics is an unusual sport, and most sports you're out on a field with your teammates. Everything's happening. You're bumping into each other, tackling each other, and it's just going at lightning speed. And gymnastics is different. You're the only one out there, And it's just a whole different mindset. It's you against the equipment and nobody else. The mentality is completely different than a lot of sports.
Well, we have a whole new meet here as Courtney Kupets has fallen off the beam. So that means one fall will be counted by Georgia. One of their 2 low scores.
Back handspring, double back. Incredibly difficult dismount. Although she landed a little low and took quite a big step back. And she's really going to be disappointed with that. She knows what she's capable of, and she knows just how amazing of a gymnast she is.
All right, Christina Basquette, Ashley Postel, the 2 final gymnasts for Utah. And here's Christina on the floor.
Well, and she is probably the best performer on the Utah team. She is just a lot of expression and fun to watch, and a real easy double pike. She needs to twist that. She performed a full twisting double pike last year, and it's just too easy for her. It's too hard for her to judge that landing.
Now the question becomes, will that deduction...
Like you say, anything can happen.
How much will that hurt
Technically,
Utah?
it was 2 tenths for both me going out of bounds, but... And really, I mean, this routine is flawless. Plus, it's just a fun routine. I mean, how entertaining is she to watch?
Utah's already has a 9.625, I believe, on the board. So Christina needs to score higher than that.
Yeah, and they have 2.5 tenths to make up before they're even in the lead,
Yep.
so... I loved her routine last year, and I love this one even more. Absolutely the most creative choreography we've seen so far. 2.5 twists, and that was just sheer talent right there. Holding on to that last pass. You know, her legs are so thin, she just doesn't look that powerful, and yet she can tumble.
Did she step on the
100
line?
feet in the air.
On the final?
I think she's okay on this last pass. Let's watch.
I didn't see the flag go up.
2.5 twist. Nope, she's good.
Stayed
Now
in.
that leg is what saved her because she was going out of bounds.
Courtney McCool ready to wrap things up for the University of Georgia on the beam. And probably feeling a little bit of pressure here.
Well, I don't think this meet's over.
Georgia coming into the final rotation with a .250 lead, but already has 2 falls on the beam.
Back handspring, step out, layout, step out, and so far a flawless routine.
Which, as we said, this is why Georgia is the 3-time defending national champion.
Front aerial to sheep jump. Side semi.
Not even a wobble yet in
You know,
this
in
routine.
some ways, it's almost easier to compete, I think, when 1 miss is a horrible situation to be in, but 2, you kind of think, you know, I've got nothing to lose now. It's almost like the pressure's off because you're not the one that can ruin it for your team. That's
Well,
how I
if
always
she's feeling any
thought about
pressure,
being.
she's certainly not showing it here.
No, this routine is amazing. And it's really about as creative as you can get on the beam.
So solid, so strong.
Round off, double twist, and just 1 hop on the landing. Well, we will see what Ashley can do.
Final competitor
She thrives on
of
this,
the meet.
and I used to thrive on this feeling, but right now I think it's going to make me sick to my stomach. Hard to believe you could wish this on yourself, right, and actually like it.
Christina Basquette scored a 9.600. So that will be the routine they will throw out. Ashley needs a big score here, a huge score for Utah to have a chance to catch Georgia.
Triple twist. Completely squared up on the landing. And again, another fantastic competitor to watch. Round off, 2.5 twist, front tuck, perfect landing. Boy, and talk about coming down to the wire.
And this is what you want, your best competitor with a chance to win it for you?
Absolutely. Getting a little bit of a breather in before our final tumbling run. Last pass. Front handspring, Rooney. And just a beautiful routine, you know.
Wow.
With the exception of a few mistakes on bars, Utah really came out well on 3 events tonight.
Here's another look at her
See
final.
Ashley come through in the all-around on the first meet is just setting herself up for so much success this season. I cannot wait to see how she finishes out the next 4 months.
We'll make the final tallies and come back and wrap up this meet right after this. Welcome back to the Huntsman Center, everyone. Georgia and Utah out on the floor as the awards are being presented. Ashley Postel wins the all-around, Missy Marlowe, with a great performance tonight.
She was rock solid. She gets her win over nemesis Courtney Coupette, so that has to feel like a great way to start the season. She worked so hard over the summer. She really deserves this.
39.525 for Ashley. And the team scores are about to be announced, and you're going to hear a big roar in just a second.
So for the first time in 8 matchups, Utah comes out on top.
And listen to that crowd. Utah fans on their feet as the Red Rocks have defeated the 3-time defending national champion Georgia Gym Dogs in a incredible come-from-behind performance tonight. Trailing by .250 heading into the last rotation. They win by a 10th, 196.3 to 196.2. Missy, the fans got their money's worth tonight.
Oh, they did, and this is so exciting. Now the national championships are in Georgia this year, so they've got a lot to prove. This is a good way to start. Everybody knows that a season opener is just that, it's a season opener. But what a way to start it out. I mean, they're going to have no problem building on this and staying motivated and getting excited for the next one.
And Greg Marston has to be extremely pleased with this team that they didn't fold under pressure. They were behind. They kept their wits about them. They did get some help from Georgia, but they came through with a pretty good score in an opening meet, 196.30.
Right. Well, and that's everything, and that's all that's going to matter to him is, besides fixing the mistakes on bars, is how they came back on beam and floor. And I guarantee that that's what they're going to focus on, is that it's so important to not let a little tiny mistake ruin things or get into your head, because it can happen to anybody.
All right, University of Utah, next home meet coming up on February 1st against the University of Minnesota, and you can see that meet right here on ABC4 on Sunday, February the 3rd. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Utah defeats Georgia by a score of 196.30 to 196.20. For Missy Marlowe, I'm Wesley Ruff. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.